welcome to a special Wednesday edition of the Power Hour. We've got a two-part training today. For the first part, Benny is going to kick it off with co-viewing training. I know it's a really hot topic right now, so exciting that we're able to hear this from him. And then for the back half, Justin Herman, our creative director, on the Studio 61 side, is in town. He's at 28th Street, and he's here to go roll out a few new things and then answer any questions, take any feedback you guys might have on the newish template now at this point. When did we roll that out, Justin? Like 9 months ago or a year?
8 months.
8 months. Okay, so he's here to answer any questions that you guys might have. He's really interested to hear your feedback. So we can, take a break between the first half and the second half, and who's ever got questions for Justin can stay. But I will toss it now to Benny to kick off the co-viewing portion.
Thanks, Ann. Yeah, Justin and I are the dynamic duo today, buddy, right? Yeah, let's do this. All right, well, so quickly, there's a lot of material. As many of you have probably heard, but yet to really get a sense for it, there's been a lot of talk about what we've been trying to do with co-viewing, how we went into the upfront, and now that a lot of that dust has begun to settle, and we're beginning to kind of dot the I's and cross the T's on our upfronts, we felt the need to obviously start to take people through co-viewing at a very high level. There's going to be much more detail and minutia that we're going to talk each of the teams through. So we will do team meetings with sales teams, with account management teams, as well as client service teams, because this is while this is a super big win for CBSI, there is some additional work and a lot of new knowledge that we're going to have to continue to share with everybody to do this. But I've personally, Porter, Rachel, all of the sales, the upfront portals, we've all lived this for the past 6 months in trying to get this to the place where it's at now. And I think it's really exciting to be able to start to take the bigger group through what it is that we did. And I'll get into that now. So what is co-viewing? So there's two definitions from everyone's perspective here that they should consider. So there's co-viewing the behavior. So we all sit in our living room with someone watching a TV show, a streaming program, whatever. But co-viewing is often is considered behavior. It's multiple people sitting in a room watching television and programming. Where does this take place? It takes place on the big screen. So all of the co-viewing conversation that we talk about today is going to be framed around CBSI content that's being consumed on that big screen. So clearly, there's been tons of buzz in the marketplace about co-viewing. It was a big push in the marketplace, and we try to get really far ahead of this year. From a CBSI perspective, for everyone here in this room and on this call, this is what co-viewing is to you guys. So it's a new method in which we are going to count how our impressions are delivered, how our inventory is served, and how we get credit now for the platforms that are on a big screen. How does that now work for us from today moving forward? We'll get into more detail on this. This was just a placeholder. We've got a money slide that we'll show you later on that will talk about what we've done at each of the agencies in the upfront. But before doing that, I want to kind of take a couple of steps back to talk a little bit about our approach, why we went to market, why co-viewing was so important to us, and what kind of got us up to today and then through to the upfront. So we needed to get co-viewing credit for a lot of different reasons. At a very high level, the marketplace, because co-viewing is already counted in Nielsen metrics for linear television, the industry accepts the fact that co-viewing exists. I don't think there's any debate from anybody that this takes place in a very big way across the landscape. So it was really important for us because of that to play into that. So we also, since we launched a lot of our OTT platforms and VOD platforms, 4 to 5, 6 years ago, it became super important now for us to get credit for audience that advertisers have been getting really at no charge. CBS, as you guys have heard in multiple offsites and multiple all hands, clearly as a leader right now in the OTT space, it became time for us to have to go down this path. There's also huge demand for OTT inventory, for stuff that's viewable and brand safe. So these were some of the arguments that we made to the marketplace on why it was important now to go to market for co-viewing. Our audience has doubled on OTT platforms in the last 2 years, and with that growth continuing and our expectation for that growth to continuing, it was going to be easier for us to go to market in this year's upfront to try to get credit for co-viewing than it will be in the future, because that audience is just going to continue to get bigger and bigger. And what we needed to do to get that done was going to take a lot more time. There were clearly benefits for the advertisers for doing this. What OTT does is it gives their brand more exposure on a big screen. So by making sure that we're properly compensated for it, we're going to give them the opportunity to have access to that inventory. When we sell on demo, it allows us to better accurately serve to that target audience, because we're actually using a more truer demo comp for each of the deals that we do. From an advertiser perspective, we waste less inventory because when we're doing demo deals, because now we're getting more credit in demo credit for a lot of that audience. And then most importantly, this is the inventory advertisers want. If they wanted to continue to get access to it, they were going to have to work with us on some kind of a co-viewing metric. So co-viewing, I'm going to get up and stand for a minute. So the co-viewing pieces of this, we looked at a number of different ways for the methodology to work for us. And where we landed holistically was Roku devices make up a large amount of our consumption and our inventory on OTT platforms. So Roku being the one deliverable, measurable device, we wanted to use that as a metric and as a proxy for the marketplace to use that to measure both co-viewing and to measure both demo. For Nielsen right now, if you watch VOD set-top box inventory, there actually are Nielsen metrics that TV buyers and linear buyers accept which we wanted to also incorporate. So we focused on two things that were really straightforward, really simple, and really educated. So at a very high level, the reason we fixated on these was because one, we saw measurement on OTT going to continue to grow over the next 12 months. Roku, some of our virtual MVPD inventory is all measured. So about half our inventory right now is measured. Nielsen, a Nielsen Amazon metric is actually going to be ready sometime either before the end of the year or early next. So we're going to use Roku and our measurable as a proxy, and we're going to translate that across all of our deals. Same thing with Nielsen. But the biggest argument we made in the marketplace, and I think this is what helped us get to where we wanted to be as in our offline conversations, is, as I said at the top, the industry didn't argue that co-viewing exists. So everyone's like, okay, I get it. How are you going to do it? Okay. We all know advertisers crave and are always on us for they want the truest measurement possible. So, okay, you want the truest measurement possible. These two metrics are the best reality that you'll ever get right now and today. So we want to use that. So we're very transparent about how we were going to go about doing this in the marketplace. And these are some of the methods in which we were going to employ here. So I'm not going to go into this. I'm not a researcher, but this is kind of how the methodology works. So on Roku, so the way that OTT measurement works in essence is that we tag campaigns just like we normally tag campaigns on OTT. We use and translate the subscriber data from Roku, and we take that and we compare that with data that we get from Experian. Experian has financial data on just about every household in America. It also gives you this. It also is able to tell you how many people are in that household. So that's the guts behind how we kind of determine how many people are there. We then wrap that against Nielsen, and they help us assign an in-demo rating, and then we get the reporting. At least for OTT, we get the reporting in the same manner that we would get reporting for desktop or for mobile. It's real time. It's available the next day. VOD is going to be a little different, and we'll get more. We're still working through that methodology from a workflow perspective. But one of the challenges with VOD is that the lag time in us being able to get the data we need to deliver the reporting and the delivery is a little longer. So we're working through a method in which we're going to be able to do that. But wanted to give everyone a little bit of sense for methodology. It can get really confusing, and quite honestly, this wasn't the part of it that we really spent a lot of time on when we got into the upfront. So what did we want to do in the upfront this year? So our goal at a very high level was to get credit for as many co-viewing platforms as we could humanly possible across our major upfront holding companies. We wanted to basically convert all of our upfront transactions to co-viewing for not only the upfront money that they commit, but by committing to this in the upfront, we wanted to get the agencies to agree to do this for all the buys they do throughout the year. So there was kind of a twofold way to do that. It was a quick way for us to convert a big amount of the marketplace over to this new currency. And as I said earlier, it was really important that for a lot of reasons that we did it, not just because our audience was growing, but next year with the addition of a number of new players in the OTT space, in the streaming video space, there are going to be a lot more players in the market. Our expectation next year, it's going to would be more of a buyer's market. So to get something like this done next year was going to be way more difficult than it was this year. So we decided, David, myself, Katie, that this was the year to do it. We're going to go out there and make the big gesture, and we're going to try to make as big of a move in the marketplace to convert people over to co-viewing as we could. And we had a couple of things that we used to get there, and then there were some tools that we had. So clearly, as I said, we played on the marketplace's desire to get OTT inventory. You can't go through the trades anymore without reading how OTT is what advertisers want. They see that as the future of digital video, and everybody's craving to clearly get on that platform. We spent an enormous amount of time prior to the upfront to try to be ahead of that marketplace. Myself, our upfront portals, spent numerous meetings, calls, email threads, doing all the things we could do to set this up, to make sure that before the time to actually do deals in the upfront came about, that we had buy-in on what they would be willing to do and what they would not be willing to do, so that we could then get into the guts of and negotiating how we would get this done from a numbers perspective, from a dollars and cents, and from a price and cost perspective. And I think the one thing that absolutely worked in our favor is we all agreed that we were going to be as transparent as possible about what it is we were doing. With new currency, with any kind of new methodology in digital, there's a lot of gray area, and there's a lot of places where people are concerned about taking a deep dive into something new because they don't think that they understand, or they don't feel they understand all the moving parts. We were very open with everything that we planned to do, and I think that approach really benefited us, because in hindsight, what we heard from them was we were as open and as transparent as any other network who went to market to try to do this. And I think that was a big reason why we were super successful doing that. I'll get into some of that success in a second.
Hey, Manny, can I just jump in? It's Jay.
Yeah.
Just every portal negotiation or holding company negotiation was different, because we were dealing with different heads of research, different heads of investment, different heads of digital, different heads of linear. Everyone had a say in how we were negotiating co-viewing. So I think Manny will show you, as you'll see, every holding company has a different set of metrics that we're going against and measuring against for co-viewing. So that's it. It's not cut and dry at all. Everything is completely different because there's idiosyncrasies to each deal that we cut.
Yeah, I think, and I think the three tools we use that really helped us get this done is we had as some of you know, we had dedicated leads on every holding company, and I think having that individual attention, it's the first time we've actually had digital for CBSI has had individual people managing individual holding companies. In the past, it has been each holding company has been done at a very high level, and we didn't have that ability to have really strong attention to detail, to have that very open dialogue that Jay mentioned, that with a number of different people. Having that structure to this year's upfront was super successful. The other kind of key piece for us was that there was a super strong linear marketplace. Rates that the network was able to get in the upfront and that the marketplace was able to get, particularly for prime inventory, was super strong. We were able to jump on the back of that, and it really helped us leverage our ability to get this done. And what that gave us was the ability. So the way the upfront works, at least in the bigger holding company negotiation, is that the agency comes with its pool of money, and each network negotiates with them what is a rate of change, the rate of change on the money that they spend with us based on the amount of volume of dollars that they bring. And we had the ability, because of the network market, and we usually pin our price changes to what the linear network does, because their marketplace was so powerful, it gave us a lot of flexibility and gave us a lot of rate percentage points of rates to be able to use as to horse trade with and able to get this co-viewing metric done. Because in the end, agencies were being asked to now pay for something that they were not, they were kind of change that got made in order to get this done. And this was, I think, the key piece, is that we had all this extra flexibility to be able to get that done. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. But to Jay's point, money slide. Let's do the money slide. So here's the money slide. So I know it's hard to read. I want to apologize in advance. So I want to thank Danny, Amanda for their help. So what we did here, to Jason's point, is that because while there is consistency in the model that we approached in the marketplace, there are subtle nuances that each agency and holding company we're going to need to work through with them. But what this is a preview of a document we're going to send to sales, account management, client services, that lays out, it's a cheat sheet, exactly what it is. And it's going to tell you, because now in our new structure, we've got people that cover clients at different agencies. We want to make sure everyone understands the differences between the different methodologies that we're going to have to approach with each agency. So at a very high level, OMG, Magna, Horizon are all on a similar function, a similar methodology. GroupM, Assembly, they happen to land in the same place as far as methodology. And then Dentsu, PMX, were kind of interesting nuances, but they had their own different model. But for us, CBS, they were both super important, and we got them done really the right way. In that, Dentsu, for example, is using OTT methodology. PMX, as a lot of you who cover PMX accounts, know that PMX is a ComScore shop. We were able to actually not only get co-viewing done, but we were able to convert their TV viewing on OTT and VOD, convert them over to Nielsen metrics, which if you've dealt with demos and demo swings that we get out of ComScore data, like this by itself was a huge lift to the clients to our business, for the clients that run through PMX. So, if I'm grading these, of which one we're most proud of, this PMX one is going to be the big winner for us.
And Minnie's talking a lot about this in context of the upfront, but just so everyone knows, we're expecting this to do your scatter deals as well. So even if you don't have one of these upfront clients, this will affect all the scatter deals as well, starting this Q4.
Yeah, I'll be a little more specific than that. I'll go back to my other slide here. So again, results. I mean, the 7 biggest holding companies, co-view. So we got it done. It's huge win. Rachel's point, scatter, and for upfronts. What this amounts to really is not only we get the view, have we gotten the lift on our pricing. So even when we had to give percentage points away to get co-viewing done, we still landed in the mid-single digits on our pricing rate of change, which in a tight marketplace is a really huge win, and we got it in that alongside co-viewing. So not only do we get a price lift, we got this audience lift to boot. And really what that is what co-viewing is in essence is another pricing lift. And our upfront right now is centering in around a $200 million number. So do the math on a 10% to 15% lift on our pricing all in across the portfolio. You can get a sense for how valuable this effort became for us in the upfront. It also, by doing it in scatter, opens up a ton of more inventory for us in that marketplace. So now when you're coming to us in market, in quarter, we're going to potentially have some more flexibility to be able to get more scatter deals done now because we've opened up more inventory working on this new co-viewing model. But it's a different counting methodology, and there will be a different post process that we'll have to roll out to everybody. And that includes a bunch of different things. So the day we closed the upfront, we immediately started to talk to the stakeholders on workflow on how to do this. So that those conversations are in progress. But the things that we've talked about and that are in motion is training. This is step one of the training. We're going to do multiples of these as we keep going. This new currency needs to be part of our terms and our IOs. So we're working with the portals, but we'll continue to be lead with each agency to work on how we're going to get the language we need to put in our IOs to be able to bill, to be able to make this all kind of legally sound, to get all that stuff in all the paperwork that we get started. So that ball is in motion as well. Reporting, so working with Dennis Cologne's team, client services team, on some processes and some automation where we can to be able to, when we pull the reporting, it's not 100% manual process. So we're going to invest a lot of time between now and the end of the summer to get that right. This is going to be more work. We're admitting that, but work through that, what we can do with Bert, what we can do with some of the Dennis's automated systems to be able to pull that. We're going to be tagging more campaigns with Nielsen tags in order to be able to track the co-viewing. So we've got some work for that, working through, and then working with Rosie's team on billing. So those are all things that, in the postmortem, we're working on. So what does that mean for you guys with next steps? So now the upfront's over, we've done some training on planning. So what we're going to ask the team to continue to do is keep focusing on that process. If you have an upfront advertiser, we still need quarterly budgets, so we need to get the detail on the buy. We don't always get that detail when we're negotiating rate of change and so forth on the bigger bucket. But this is that process we've run you guys all through already, to be able to begin to build the plans that we try to get done in the best possible way for us. Quarterly is get things in your yield tracker. The portals, Jason, Chris, Terry, Blake, Chris Rollo, Abby are all working on, if you haven't got one yet, we've put together templates for the media plans that lay out what the methodology is for that particular agency, all the caveats and kind of things that we want to use a consistent plan template. So that should be coming out to you guys as well. That has all the caveats and the legalese and different things we have to say, the fine print, so to speak, on the media plans. So we put some time into that to try to get that. But what we ask of you guys, and we will do deeper training. This is high level because we wanted to get people kind of under the hood on what we're doing here. It's going to be super important for you to understand your agency's math. So the cheat sheet, that's just that, but we want to make sure you guys understand kind of the differences between each agency. And I can spend a couple of minutes on that. We have time at the very end on what the differences between the agencies really are and what we did. And the rate of change that we negotiated that we're going to apply to our deals, that includes the co-viewing. So someone comes to you and says, yeah, you know what, I don't want to do it, then we're going to probably take the path that we're going to have to negotiate your deal or through that in the planning process to make sure that works out. But the assumption is, because we've agreed on a rate of change for the agency, that every client is going to be utilizing Covio and is going to be using that currency. While we're doing this in the upfront, as you guys all know, we're starting to get requests for plans for fourth quarter, which start the new broadcast year. So the time when everyone gets finally comfortable with all this, and it will take a few weeks for us to get everybody kind of ramped up to that, is we'll need to have each ADs, account managers, to begin to have conversations and try to get ahead of all this other activity that's going to come in a year where we haven't necessarily had a co-viewing conversation. So what we're going to ask is we'll train and we'll give you guys the tools. Your managers, the portals are going to be very helpful with that training. So the sales leadership is going to help us help you guys get up to speed on what you need to know. But it's like doing other smaller agencies that might do an upfront in the next couple weeks or months. Anybody that is a PQ Plus advertiser and scatter, like our goal is you got to get them on co-viewing, because what happens with co-viewing for demo is, yes, you get an audience swing, your audience lift, but with demos, because certain demos pop better than others, there are usually a give and take between that, how much the audience lift is and the demo changes. So anybody who's on PQ Plus, all that is a straight win for us. So if the methodology at Dentsu is 10%. It's 10% every time we do a deal. We save 10% of the inventory that we would normally have to utilize to deliver that deal. But in the end, we want everybody on this, and that's as hard as it was to do the upfront, it's going to be way harder to get the entire marketplace, every deal that we do on co-view. It's just going to take time. And when network goes through a currency change, it doesn't take, it's not a 1 year. So in the perfect world, we get advertisers over the next 12 months comfortable with this methodology, and it becomes a standard. Hopefully we go into next year's upfront. It's done in most places, or there's only a few outliers in which we have to take more. 1 minute. Let me just open up for a couple questions, and then we can go through the methodologies by a holding company when we do trainings together. Anybody have any questions? I know it's for everyone seeing this content for the first time. So what we'll do is, you do have questions that you don't.
Manny, we've got some in BlackRock.
Okay.
Is there also maybe a budget minimum that we'd consider doing this for? Like, if it's a 10K deal and then we're looking at a fraction of inventory, are we going to open up the can of worms to have to provide reporting? It's a whole other element too for client services. We're adding workload.
No, Nick, great question. For what you guys do, you, Michael, Alex, on the local side, I mean, your buys are small. The question makes a lot of sense. I don't think I agree with that. It's not probably it's going to be much more workload for you guys to do it for the size of the buys that you guys do. That do add up. But I think in general, the goal would be do every deal, right? In a perfect world, I would say just directionally 50, 75K minimally. We want to do every deal in the end, but we also are cognizant of the time that might be spent trying to do the reporting for that. We'll probably have to get back to that one, I think, when we do the deeper training. But great question, and something for us to think about. Makes sense. Okay. Anybody here? Question?
Gabby has one more in BlackRock.
Will clients at the agencies have access to pull the co-viewing numbers on their end, or is this something that we just deliver at the end of a campaign?
Yeah, we'll deliver it based on the reporting that we do. Okay. It'll come from this is our measurement. This is because what's measured on CBS is very different than what's measured on NBC or ABC, and a lot of these other networks did get some co-viewing done on their end, like NBC, for example, includes a form of co-viewing when they do their C-Flight, when they sell their C-Flight. But it's super rudimentary. They had to give up, do it on a view basis. There's so many nuances to it. We just did it the right way. Yeah, we would, that will be outlined for you guys when we do the flow, the workflow, and what's different with that process.
Manny, when should we expect that deeper training?
Let's start setting it up. I mean, I think what's most important in the short term is for people to understand what they're, like the agencies that they're representing, what we're doing there. The workflow piece is a good work in progress. So I'm going to lean on you guys, Debbie, management, about how you want to go about that. I think personally, I don't mind doing a couple different trainings over the next couple weeks. But if you guys feel that methodology, understanding is super important, we'll do it ASAP. But we will have to do something as it relates to workflow later on in the summer.
Okay.
Benny, I know you mentioned that one of the client benefits for co-viewing is less wasted P2 plus impressions for ad serving fees. Does that stem from the more accurate demo comps? And if so, would that only apply to demo guaranteed campaigns?
No, I mean, it actually, in the end, it does for any deal we do. It cuts down ad serving fees for them. Because we're delivering less impressions to get to the guarantee, because we're getting more credit for that on those other eyeballs. So the way I usually phrased it over the past few months was, we just add, if you're doing a campaign where you need to deliver 1 million impressions, you're just getting there faster because we're counting up that extra audience.
Many will sponsorships include co-viewing?
No. And only because we don't really do sponsorships on OTT. You're talking about like fixed placements or like branded features and stuff like at CBSN. I don't think we figured out how that would work, and it's really hard to do without being able to tag and measure it. So that's not something that we're considering at this point.
But like our premieres and like the finales sponsorships?
Yes, definitely.
It's a yes.
So that's a yes for video sponsorship?
That's a yes. So I wasn't paying attention to the definition of sponsorship.
Manny, will we be applying co-viewing to all of our fluidity deals?
Absolutely.
Roger that.
Most importantly, because the network was really helpful with us to get message that through. So yes, we are all lined up for that.
All right. Any other questions? Anybody on the phone? All right.
All right. Any questions? Shoot me emails, whatever. We will do other trainings, so I'm looking forward to that. But hopefully, there's a high enough level snapshot of what this is, kind of a starter kit for what's to come. So, thank you.
Thanks, Manny. All right, if you want to screen share, we could pass to Justin.
Now,
Okay, great.
hey guys, my name is Justin Herman, for those of you who have met me, which is most people I'm looking at. I'm the creative director out of the San Francisco office. I specifically run the team of presentation and animation design. Thanks for having me. I'm going to run through a couple, like just very few new shiny objects that are coming your way soon. And then the main function of this is just, it's been like 8 months or so since we rolled out the slides template, or I'm sorry, the sales template. And I just really want to get your feedback. Tell me what you wish it did, problems you're having. You don't have to tell me anything you like about it. I don't deal well with compliments. So just bring me your pain points, and myself and my team who are present will try to try to remedy them. Let me share my screen. First thing I want to share is something that we've been working on with Jeremy Siegel, the VP of Site Strategy, and I got to give him a lot of props. When he came in, he really identified a lot of problems that needed solving, and this thing solves for a lot of them. And this is for IM mainly. For sales, this is more of an FYI, but you will see these slides come. So this is for the Site Strategy team largely. It's a Google Slides template that one of the things this solves for, obviously, the obvious benefit of slides is that, we needed to solve for real-time collaboration in a post, reorg world. Secondly, the sales template that I rolled out for you guys last year was, great for selling across BU, but didn't really solve too much for selling across portfolio. So this is more of like, we're trying to sell our whole portfolio at once. So, it's not a whole lot to look at, but, we had to use the royal baby story because honestly, what else matters in anybody's life? It's the big story to ever happen. There's a dark, a light, and like a purple version of most things. Just again, keep it uniform and throw some flavor in there when we need to switch it up for CMG or for other instances. And we will have customization of this down the line for like, big tentpole things. But one of the things this really solves for is a need for qualitative storytelling. It creates a design framework that allows IM to really focus on ideation and storytelling and not get bogged down with design. This template is extremely, I don't want to say, it's extremely prescriptive. And it's not to like hinder you or to hold you back, it's to free you up, to spend more time trying to like, again, focus on ideation and storytelling. You just find your image, flow in your copy, and then you're done. So the workflow will go like this. After the collaboration phase is done, then we spit it out into PowerPoint. My team puts the design love on it, and then that will go out to you, sales, and to DocSend. For sales, what this means is when you get these slides, don't touch them. just use them as is. Like this is, again, really prescriptive. For IM, what this means is if you always start here, start with this template, things are going to be really fast. I really believe things are going to be like incredibly more efficient and incredibly quick because, again, we're cutting down on you having to play designer. Like, we have a design team that is really unique in the market. And that brings me to the other thing that this really solves for is we found a need to really scale our design expertise with our sales stuff. Like my team is extremely passionate about giving you guys all the firepower we can give you so that you're confident going out and doing this. Like, the upfront deck was great, but that can't be it. Like, all our efforts need that kind of design love. So what this has done is this template has really defined when and where we can apply that design love and where not to. So let me switch to that. Let me share a new screenshot going back to the more shiny stuff. New shit. Here. So one of the things that we've seen a lot of success with in the design world is, having
COVID, by the way.
Yeah, of course it is. Who I was presenting with. Was taking the time to create a custom logo for an opportunity that we're trying to pitch. If you think about it, when we're selling ideas, we're selling stories, a logo, a branding lockup, something makes it look more tangible, more like a real thing that's already in place that they can just onboard with quickly, and it's less of a speculative idea in the ether. Like it's just a real thing. And I mean, we're doing this as much as we humanly can. Of course, we're not going to do it for small stuff, but we just see that we've seen that our pitches go further. It makes a big impact. Some of these are yet to be rolled out. The other thing is animation and motion. And how many of you guys have read a story that's one page or one word? Doesn't happen. The nature of stories is motion. Motion is like the real language. You move from one thing to another. I'm a firm believer that when you add motion to a slide or to a story, it brings it to life. It's not stagnant. It really can tell us like how much better would this be? Is this than just a still image of a truck? It's exciting. While you're talking about this with clients, with your prospective clients, there's some cool stuff happening that draws you in and keeps you connected to the experience, as opposed to distracting you with 5 paragraphs copy. This is an example of how we would take that Google Slides template and plus it up and make it into, this is one of the areas where we can focus our design strength on. And where where that really lies is in the overall story. Not when we get into the nitty-gritty data or the opportunities themselves, but where we're really trying to sell the magnificence of these stories and our ideas that we're pitching. And stop me if you've seen any of these slides before, but these have been received pretty well from what I'm told.
So this is the definition of design love. When you said, don't touch the slides and leave the design love to us, I think you said earlier, you're talking about these kind of animations.
Yeah, that's paraphrasing, but yes. This is the design love I'm talking about. Like coming up with a logo for a program, creating these custom animations to help tell the story. Yeah, that's the love. And I mean, we want you guys to spend more time, to not worry about laying stuff out. Like, we got a team for that. You focus on telling great stories. I mean, I put one too many, hell, I got greedy. But I mean, think about it, when you're telling a story like Mars, you gotta bring, it's new, it's extravagant, it's exciting, you gotta bring it to life.
If you're asking for a certain dollar amount, we should have some nice materials to.
So the question that I have is, and obviously this stuff is completely heightened from the generic template that we've been working with for the last 9 months, but when we take on a whole new visual aesthetic for these things, how long is that? Because we could write up, paragraphs in a Google Doc and lay that out and say slide 1, slide 2, but what is going to be the turnaround time for a presentation to elevate to this level that's completely custom and brand new? So that's kind of where I worry, given that a lot of our work is 24 to 36 or 48-hour turns.
Sure.
And how are we going to factor that into this process?
I mean, I can hear my project management team just cringing right now, like, don't give them a timeline, don't do it. But I mean, that's again the benefit of this slides template, is that it focuses where we can do this. Like, I'm not going to make one of these for every slide in the presentation, right? Only the 1 or 2 that are really getting the story across, like at the very beginning. So don't let that be a factor. Like, let me worry about that.
Okay.
I love this shit. Like, we love this shit. We want to give you we wanted you guys to go out in the market with the best you can. And I mean, I'm not, like, a lot of this, like this slide, for instance, it's got some custom animation, but this is just good video sourcing. Okay. You have paid subscriptions for that kind of thing.
Got it.
Yeah.
So in other words, it's simpler than it looks in some cases.
Yeah, I mean, don't go nuts. Don't there's some IMs I've seen that are like, hey, can we do this? Can we? And it's like, 9 slides in the deck are all asking for that love. But I think the goal of this is to scale some of that love across everything. So don't get greedy.
I will not be greedy. I promise.
So the next thing I want to run through real quick is our distribution playbook. I've only got one flavor that's sorted out, but I mean, I hope this will be rolled out in the next 2 weeks from now at the longest. And one thing that this solves for, and I know we've all seen it and been there, is how do you have a bunch of slides with devices on them in a row without it looking ridiculously boring, and who cares, it's another phone, and like, oh, wait a minute, it's not the right brand, we can't pitch a Mac phone or a Samsung, that was something that personally, in my 9 years of being here and working with Dex, has driven me crazy. So we've stumbled upon a really elegant solution for this that it emphasizes the content. It's clean, it's sophisticated, it makes screenshot placement crazy easy. And as you go through them, it doesn't get repetitive because you can switch through the brand colors. And there's, and this will all be templated. This will be part of the next iteration of the sales template that you guys have. They'll roll out hopefully again in like 2 weeks from now. 2 to 3 weeks, I'm not going to put, but hopefully 2. Yeah,
Hey, Justin, sorry, I just keeping an eye on the clock and we only have 15 minutes left, so I want to make sure you get the feedback you're looking for. And then also just wanted to highlight those Google slides. Those are really for site strategy. You guys are getting kind of a sneak peek here, but please don't worry about, creating in Google Slides, and it's more of a sneak peek, like coming soon. Some of the decks could look like that, but as Justin mentioned, they will be exported to PowerPoint and put up on DocSend. So little bit of a sneak peek there.
Yeah. I've only got one more thing to touch on.
Okay.
But yeah, so this slides template, or this distribution playbook will give you a cool, sophisticated, first-to-market way of dealing with screenshots without having to put who doesn't know that stuff is on a phone? Like, who doesn't know already that we look at our content on phones and tablets? We can do it without having to be photorealistic. One thing I did want to mention before I forget is I know that there is some concern of, for the video and animation side, what about how that plays with DocSend? Right now, DocSend doesn't support that. I had a meeting with them and explain why it's important for them to do so. And they told me it's on their roadmap for the second half of this year to fix that, so that all video and all native animation will be viewable in DocSend. So if they come through, who knows, but they said they would. And the last thing I want to mention is one thing I took from you guys when we first rolled this out is the need for an image library. We started going down this path and, dumping countless images onto a Google Drive folder, and oh God, now we got to label it sports, blah, blah, blah. But that wasn't really tenable, and it didn't scale. So we've been working with the machine learning team in the San Francisco office to develop a searchable, very AI smart database of images, all that we own rights to, and they're like automatically tagged with crazy levels of metadata, like, gender, the BU, what's happening, the action in it, like it's pretty impressive and powerful. And that should roll out, I think he said sometime in Q3, so hopefully let's just say mid-August, but that your needs for image search will be over. And that's really, one reason for that is to get you guys to stop using Google image search. Because for a couple reasons. It sucks, first of all, but also from a the perspective of we're supposed to be these people's partner from a consultative selling standpoint. We go and pitch them the idea, run it through the deck, and then they go back and do a little research, and they do a Google, and the first thing, they do a search, the first thing that pops up is that image they saw on the deck. Wow, looks like we really tried hard, huh? We really broke our back to be their partner. No, so I would this image library, this incredible image library that the machine learning team is building is going to be a great tool to solve for that. And if you do have to go back to, to Google image search for something specific, please go under tools and select large, so that it's a high-res image and you're not having pixelation issues, and maybe scroll to the second or third page, so you're just not giving them the default treatment. I could have spoken about all those things for a lot more, but that is where I will end it and open it up for all your problems and pain points. So does anybody have anything that they've noticed in dealing with the template that they were like, oh, this is kind of a challenge, this sucks, or I wish it could do this, but it doesn't? Lay it on me. Nothing? It's perfect?
It is pretty awesome.
I have a question.
I want to hear it.
Does the animation,
Oh, sorry.
we've
Chase
got one
has a
Black
question
Rock.
here.
does the animation when it's imported to PowerPoint, or all of those are going to be seamless and there won't be any issues translating that?
When it's imported into PowerPoint, from where?
When you convert from the Google Slides to PowerPoint, are the animations going to be seamless?
The animation phase is not in slides. There is no animation slides. We're not doing that in slides. We're doing that in the phase. That's the design love phase when we get to PowerPoint.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I told you some small things earlier about the text boxes and stuff, but going back to the library, is that images that we own across all of our editorial teams and just like everything that we bought over the years? I'm assuming editorial buys the most.
It will cover everything that editorial not has bought, but has shot.
It's shot.
It's made, and I mean, it's really not only images, it's video too. Like this tool is something else, and I really can't wait for them to roll it out. But it's everything that they shot, everything that editorial's made, everything that our team has purchased over the years from stock, like all of our approved stock, the things we like, things. It covers everything. It covers both sides. So you'll have a wide breadth of stuff to choose from without having to rely on Uncle Google.
Just type in keywords and that's it.
Yeah, and please bring up the other thing that you told me earlier, because I want to
Yeah, so some little things like when you insert a text box into the template, it doesn't have a wrap by default, right? So when you type, it just goes to the right forever. So then you got to click several times to get to a default so that the copy wraps down and goes downward instead of the right forever. It's like, that's annoying. It just takes a little time, and like something like that would be a great fix on the global template. Some other little text things that I can't quite describe in this meeting that I'll take offline. To help
This
you
is
with
Rob
that.
here.
Take the text box and just draw a box. Type in and straight into the box. Sorry. Take it offline.
Just do it. Just stop being late. That's not a part of it. Yeah, and
Okay,
I
any
heard
other
Rob
other
chime in.
questions for
That's
Justin?
easy fix.
Or feedback on the template as you guys have used it or debuted it or sent it around over the past several months? All right, well, Justin, how long are you in New York if people have questions they want to ask in person, New Yorkers?
I mean, I'm in New York till this Tuesday, but I'm like available. Like, I really am a little sad that sales doesn't reach out to me more. So do it. And I mean, caveat, there is a passageway to get to me. You have to go through Molly Gilbert. When it's like, when you need something, she's our project management lead. But she will be the one that juggles everything and says, okay, you can have it by then or you can have it by then. But do not hesitate. Like almost all of the requests we get are from IM, and since we've rolled this out, it's been very little from sales, but I mean, we're here for you too. So then, don't hesitate. Don't be like, oh, I don't want it, it's too much to ask. It's not, it's really not, I promise.
So reach out, and yeah, some of the stuff, the new stuff that you've been doing, Justin, in terms of the animation that you shared has been looking great. Some of those first decks in the new template, or some of the new slides, like the NFL deck look great. Those ones that you shared at the beginning of this presentation, it's really Jeremy's kind of brainchild. So I don't, I would let him speak to it to all you guys, but look for more of that, like the NFL style deck coming from Site Strategy, using those great slides that Justin and team created and shared with you at the beginning of the presentation. But
again,
don't worry about Google Slides. We'll leave that to us.
Yeah, totally. I mean, again, just one more time, props to Jeremy for that. Like, it really was a great solve for a lot of things that needed to be solved.
All right, great. Well, thanks. Thank you, Manny, and thanks, Justin. And
Thanks, guys.
for today. Thanks, guys. Thank you.